Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jake Stu.
And today we're talking about Alien Romulus. Released in 2024, directed by Fede Alvarez, written by Fede Alvarez and Brodo Sayogues. I don't know exactly how you pronounce that. And starring Kaylee Spaney, David Johnson, Archie Renault, Isabella Merced, Spike Fearn, and Eileen Wu. With a surprise, it's not really a cameo, performance from another actor that we'll get into. This was, as of this recording, this was just released yesterday, or 2 days ago. And Stu and I actually got to see it together.
Yeah.
It's first time we'd seen a movie in the theater together. So that was kind of cool.
It was.
And when it ended, you turned to me and you said, I liked it. So yeah. How are you feeling about it a day later?
I still like it very much. My opinion hasn't really changed. I know you and I discussed the one thing that we didn't really like about it. I don't know if you thought about it more and had more things that you didn't like about it, but I think we're gonna be in agreement for this episode. So yeah, I still really loved it. You said that, for most of the movie you felt like it was the best Alien movie since Aliens, and after sleeping on it, I concur.
Yeah, and I still feel that way. I do have a pretty major problem with it, which we talked about a little last night. We'll get into, but overall, I would say 90% of the movie I was loving it. Yes. And I thought I loved pretty much every aspect of it. I loved the aesthetic. I loved the use of practical sets and effects. I so miss that. And I thought Fede Alvarez really kind of just nailed it. And the big problem I have with it is kind of I kind of understand why he did that, and it connects it to the prequel movies and stuff like that. So it's not even like a huge deal breaker. I personally wish it hadn't really been included. But yeah, I still think it's the best Alien movies since Aliens. I thought about it today and I thought, yeah, I would put it above Alien 3, and I would even put it above Prometheus. I'd put it above the rest. So yeah, it's, for me, I still kind of, Alien and Aliens, it depends on what day about which one I put ahead of the other. But it would Alien, Aliens, Alien, Romulus. Those are the top three for sure.
Yes. Well, see, the thing about Prometheus, we haven't talked about this movie yet.
Right.
I'm in the Prometheus camp when it, because there are people that like Prometheus over Alien Covenant, and then there are people that like Alien Covenant over Prometheus. I think that the Prometheus camp is the lesser of the two, but I understand why people like Alien Covenant over Prometheus, because Alien Covenant is more of a traditional Alien movie, whereas Prometheus is a very existential thought piece of a science fiction movie. I prefer that existential thought piece over the traditional Alien movie. I think the thing that Prometheus, the flaw of Prometheus is that they tried to force it to be an alien movie.
Right.
None of the alien, I wouldn't say none of the alien lore, but most of the stuff that they put in there, like the giant face hugger and the thing coming out of her, and it didn't need to be there. It was unnecessary. I thought it, like, on its own, it's a fine movie that I very much enjoy watching, and I'm okay with it taking place in that universe, but there were too many Easter eggs and member berries to try and force it in the
Alien franchise.
Alien franchise.
It's been a while since I've seen Prometheus, so I don't remember everything. But I do know that I prefer it over Alien Covenant. I'm in the same camp. I'm in the Prometheus camp as well. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to talk about Prometheus soon, because We finished Alien Resurrection, so it's kind of, it would have been, I guess.
Would have been next.
It would have been next if we're skipping over the Alien vs. Predator movies, which I think we are for now. But so I, like I said, it's been a while since I've watched it. I know I've only seen Alien Covenant once, and I didn't like it. So I know I fall more in the Prometheus camp, but it, I really enjoyed that movie, except for one thing, but we'll save that for the Prometheus episode.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the same, what you just kind of said. Kind of.
And I told you this last night. I tried to watch, or not tried to, I've watched Alien Covenant 3 times now, and all 3 times it just wasn't for me. I've accepted that I'm just never gonna like that movie.
Right.
And the issue is, so Prometheus leaves off not kind of a cliffhanger. Yes and no.
Setting it up for a sequel, basically.
Yeah, it's setting it up for a sequel, and the sequel we got was not the sequel that they set up, basically.
Right, I gotcha.
The sequel that they set up in Prometheus was basically like a 3, maybe not even that, maybe like a 2-minute scene in Alien Covenant.
Oh, right.
And so it's like, well, I guess that's that.
Well, we'll talk about those soon. I'm looking forward to rewatching Prometheus. I'm not super looking forward to rewatching Alien Covenant, but we'll talk about it eventually. But Alien Romulus. So I just found out that this was originally going to be a Hulu movie, like Prey, for the Predator franchise. This was originally going to be like a Hulu exclusive or whatever. And then I guess they decided about a year ago to give it a theatrical release. And I'm really glad they did, because this movie looked really good on the big screen. And I'm glad I'll be honest with you, Stu. So originally you and I were supposed to go see Deadpool and Wolverine together. And me, being the forgetful person I am, forgot that we said we were going to go see that movie together. And I bought tickets to see Deadpool and Wolverine with my wife. You couldn't make that showtime. So then we decided, you know what? We'll go see Alien Romulus together. And I'm actually kind of really glad it worked out that way, because I probably wouldn't have seen this movie in the theater if we hadn't made plans to see it. And I really didn't have I wasn't all that interested in it. I had seen the preview once and it didn't really do much for me. And so, I was happy to go see a movie with you, but I wasn't all that pumped to go see Alien Romulus. And I'm really glad that I got to see it in the theater, because it was, I really actually kind of enjoyed it. Yeah. So I'm glad I messed up and bought tickets to Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, I just, I'm glad it got the theatrical release. I'm glad that we got to see it. And and hopefully, our theater wasn't super packed for a Friday night, but hopefully it's doing pretty well. I haven't looked at like the box office numbers or anything.
Yeah, I haven't either. I don't know.
Yeah. I had heard that, because Deadpool and Wolverine was still going strong, and I had heard that this movie might overtake it for the #1 spot for the weekend. I don't know if that's looking like it's going to happen or not. Well, I guess we'll find out on Monday, but I think it deserves an audience. I think Alien fans are probably going to go see it.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully it does pretty well.
The things that I really liked about this movie, the direction is easily the best thing about the movie. I love Fede Alvarez's eye. Who's the cinematographer on this?
Gallo Oliveras.
Well, Gallo Oliveras, kudos to you, man, because you know what you're doing behind that camera. The lighting, just everything. Like this is a pretty dark movie, and not. I mean, in terms of tone, yes, but just like visually, it's a very
lighting too. Yeah,
it's a very dark movie, and I think that works tremendously. One of my favorite shots was when Isabella Marcet's character was walking down this hallway, and the light was behind her, and you saw like the silhouette of her body. Oh my goodness, it was a beautiful shot.
There was a great hero shot too. I don't remember exactly where it was in the movie, but it was of the main character. It was Rain, and it might have been Rain and Andy. And the camera kind of just was low and pushed in on them. And it just was a really cinematic. It was a really nicely well done shot. I like that shot a lot too.
I think that shot was in one of the trailers.
It might have been. I wouldn't be surprised, because it was really, I'll have to go back and rewatch the trailers But yeah, I like that shot a lot. And there was actually, I mean, like you said, the cinematography was just good all around. It was,
Yeah.
you know, the alien movies kind of have to be dark. And I think it works really well because the alien can hide in the shadows and even hide within the frame and then suddenly see movement, you know?
Yeah.
I think the original Alien did that really well. And they kind of do it in this. They do it, the face huggers in this movie. I feel like Fede Alvarez thought about face huggers and was like, what if there were a bunch of them?
Yeah. Yep. Fede Alvarez loves face huggers. Yeah. Because there are a lot of face huggers in this movie. Then not a whole lot of people get their face hugged. No. But there's a shot, and it was actually in the trailer, but you know, there's a shot of like hundreds of face huggers.
Yeah, and they're like chasing. Yeah. I remember that from the trailer and being like, oh my God. That scene where like they're crawling, I think they come through the door and then they're like chasing them down the hallway and stuff. Yeah, terrifying.
The face huggers are easily, in my opinion, the scariest that we've seen them in this movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do find it kind of hilarious that there was these two guys trapped in a room with face huggers, and they manage to fight them off, and then as soon as that door gets opened, it latches onto somebody that was outside of the room. But
that's the irony.
Right.
Yeah, there are a lot of face huggers in this movie. There are actually a few aliens in this movie, but there is like one main like xenomorph that is coming after them. Like you said, the practical effects are awesome. I love the scene when the xenomorph is like the birth of the xenomorph, the main xenomorph that's coming after him. Like that was a really good scene. Like there was a part when I forget the character's name, Bjorn. The acid was like dripping on his arm, and it got on his fingers, and it got all the way down to the bone. Like that was gnarly.
Yeah. I immediately thought of Alien Resurrection with that scene, because you remember when? Yep. And I can't remember the character's name now, but remember when the alien spits acid and it hits him in the face, and we were like, it looks like just a little burn, like
a burn. Yeah.
When I saw that, the acid dripping on Bjorn in this movie, I was like, that's what it should have been.
That's what it should have been. Absolutely. It was great. Fede Alvarez really, when I heard that he was going to be directing this movie, I immediately thought of Evil Dead. 2013 Evil Dead. I was like, he's the perfect choice. And I'm so glad that I was proven right. Like he nailed it with this movie. He really did.
He clearly has a love for the franchise, and not just the first movie. You know, he loves
all of them,
and even Prometheus, and probably even Alien Covenant. He because there's a lot of Easter egg member berries, as you call them, in this movie as well. But not just with the Easter eggs, like we've said before, the tone of it, just the visual aesthetic of it. He clearly has a love for the franchise. Yeah. He took it and he built on it and he made it his own, which I think is really great. But he knew the movie he was making, for sure. And he tried to connect it as best he could, and it really does feel like it's connected, especially to that first movie.
And one thing that I like about this movie, and I could say that most of the Alien movies are like this, but this one especially, the story is very simple. That's one thing that it has over Prometheus. Even though I still think, Prometheus is a great movie. This movie, the story is very simple and straight to the point. We're getting off this planet. We're gonna commandeer this ship that is drifted into this planet's orbit, and we're gonna take this ship, sleep for 9 years, and go to another planet. That's the whole objective. But when they get on the ship, there are facehuggers on the ship.
In cryo
sleep. Yeah.
Froze. They've been frozen. Yeah. Like cryogenically or whatever. Yeah.
So the movie starts out with this ship, like the xenomorph being brought onto the ship.
Right. Yeah, so the xenomorph from the first Alien that Ripley shot out the airlock with the harpoon, we see that alien being not captured, but like picked up by another ship. We see the remnants of the Nostromo, and we see that alien getting picked up. And then it seemed like the Romulus station that they end up boarding was kind of like a science vessel, and they were doing experiments or whatever on the alien, which is dead. We see like the hanging corpse of that alien, but they were able to extract like its DNA and do, I guess, come up with clones or something. Because we don't see any eggs. This is one of the only, maybe the only Alien movie where we don't see like an egg that the face hugger comes out of. All those face huggers are already out of eggs, and then they're hatched and frozen. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. You know, and we, you know, they get on the ship and they discover all of this destruction, and we see a severed synthetic.
Right, yeah. The top half of a synthetic.
Yeah, the top half of a synthetic. And it turns out that it is it's Rook, who looks like Ian Holm.
Right.
Which you and I both saw a mile away.
I mean, when they first show the synthetic on the ground, he's wearing the exact same clothes. He's face down, but he's face down, the exact same clothes as Ash from the first movie. Any Alien fan would recognize it.
But for me, it wasn't even the clothes. It was the fact that they never showed his face.
The face.
Yeah, right. When she was up close to him and they still didn't show his face, I was like, that's clearly Ian Holm.
Right. This was kind of spoiled for me because I didn't know it was him, but I had read like yesterday morning or whatever. I was browsing a movie news website that I read, and it said something about there was controversy with Alien Romulus and a CGI like character resurrection or something like that, kind of, you know. And I was like, okay, so we're gonna have a CGI character that looks like somebody from a previous movie. So I knew somebody was going to be in the movie. And if I had thought about it, I would have realized that it was probably Ash because Ian Holm has passed away. Like Sigourney Weaver's still alive, so they wouldn't. I mean, they could have just de-aged her if Ripley was in the movie. But
right.
So how do you feel about Rook, and how do you feel about it looking like Ian Holm?
I don't have a problem with Rook as a character. It took a little adjustment on my part to accept that it looked like Ian Holm.
Right.
And the reason why it took me a minute to adjust was, again, the member berry stuff that they do that in movies now. They do it a lot in movies now because everything is a sequel or a reboot, and it just wasn't necessary for him to look like Ian Holm. But the character itself, I had no problem with.
You and I are on the exact same page. The character worked. Yes. It made sense for there to be a synthetic. It made sense for him to, still be online. We've seen synthetics in other movies be half there and still be able to talk and connect and whatnot. So that all made sense to me. I didn't like the fact that they used Ian Holm. At first it was like, oh, cool, it looks like Ash, but it's not Ash, it's Rook. So there was really no reason for it to look like Ian Holm. This movie, right, from what I've read, this movie takes place 20 years after the original Alien and like 30-something years, maybe, or something before Aliens.
Because I think Alien and Aliens are 57 years apart, something like that?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah. And
so like Bishop doesn't look anything like Ash. And then Call from Resurrection obviously looks nothing like Bishop or Ash.
Right.
And David in Prometheus and stuff doesn't look, so I would have been perfectly okay if it had just been some other actor playing Rook rather than having it, and he could have been wearing kind of similar clothing or something, but like it didn't need to be a fake Ian Holm. And I actually, when they first show his face and he's talking, I didn't think the CGI was very good. The face replacement they did. So it was distracting. So it was another reason why I really kind of wish it hadn't been an Ian Holm rendering or whatever. Yeah, that's one of the biggest, or not one of, it's not the biggest, but it's one of the detractors in my opinion of the film. It was just, I understand why they did it. Like you said, it's an Easter egg. It's a member berry thing. It's a look how cool this is kind of thing, but it's unnecessary. It didn't need to look like him, and it didn't look good. It looked fine when he was on like the screens kind of for the second half of the movie when he's just talking to the characters through the video screens. It was just like the close up of his face. That actually looked okay, but when you first see him in person, quote unquote, the mouth and everything just doesn't, the CGI was off. It looked weird.
Yeah, like you said, enough time had been removed from the first movie that he could have been had a completely different appearance.
Now, having just said that, and I was thinking about when they visit the wreckage of the Nostromo and they pick up the alien carcass, how long after the first movie was that? Was there like a time jump after we see that? Did it say like 19 years later or something when we meet Rain?
I don't think it did. I don't remember that. But when they're on the ship and they, because they think it's deserted.
Right.
Or not deserted, but I forget what. Decommissioned. Yeah, they think it's decommissioned and they get on the ship and see like stuff is still not active, but I don't know. But
I know what you mean though. Like the cryo chamber was still working and stuff like that.
They was looking like they ain't been gone that long.
right.
Like they've been gone for a while, but it ain't been that long. Right. Something was going on recently here.
Yeah. But I still don't think, like, even if it was closer to the time of the first movie, them picking up the alien carcass and doing all the experiments and all that stuff, I still think it could have looked like a different person, because even Andy, who is the kind of the main synthetic of the movie, he obviously looks nothing like any of the other synthetics we've seen. And it's been established through this franchise that synthetics look different and that we don't know people are synthetics until they start bleeding. Right. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Now that you say it, I think maybe that ship that was like almost immediately after the destruction of the Nostromo, because if it was let's say that they were there recently before maybe like a year or two or something before they I don't know what to call them. The kids, we'll just say the kids. The kids got up there. Yeah. The synthetics would probably look like Andy.
Right.
So maybe that's the reason why it had to look like Ian Holm.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, this has never really been established when the looks change, because obviously David from Prometheus and Alien Covenant looks different than Ash. So at some point they changed the look from David to Ash, and then they changed it to Andy, and that's also assuming that every synthetic looks the same. Like every version of a synthetic, like every model, I should say, of a synthetic looks like this one person.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I still think it could have been a different person.
I could see that being true though, because in Alien Covenant, David and what was the other guy's name?
In Alien Covenant?
Yeah, Michael Fassbender played two synthetics.
Oh, I don't remember. I've seen that movie one time.
Yeah, he played two synthetics. He played David and the other one who had an American accent. I can't remember his name. Okay. But yeah, they obviously they were played by the same person, so they look the same. So I think
that maybe they did establish that then.
Yeah, I think the models do look, or at least not the models, but the generation of those synthetics do look the same. So,
gotcha. Well, all right. Maybe you just sold me. Maybe it was. I don't know. I mean, it was so distracting. I feel like I think they could have gone a different way with it, cast a different actor, and it would have still worked fine. So, speaking of the kids, in the beginning of the movie, Bjorn especially, I think, had such a strong accent that I was like, I gotta watch this again with subtitles because I'm not catching like anything he's saying, and that might just be me being an old man. The guy with like the real heavy British accent, I had a tough time understanding him.
Really, I understood everything he was saying.
There was, I mean, there were, later on when he's like threatening Andy and stuff, I kind of got that, but when they were explaining the plan to every time he spoke, I was like, nope.
I understood everything he was saying. I mean,
it might be I'm just an old man and need hearing aids, but I did not catch pretty much a word. I didn't catch a word he said.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They would talk. It'd be like, one character would say something. They'd be like, it's a decommissioned ship. And then they'd cut to him and he'd be like, oh, yeah, it's me. Yeah. I'd be like, what? What did he say?
Oh. Oh, man. Now I'm going to hear that in my sleep.
So I am looking forward to rewatching it when it comes out on physical with the subtitles on.
Oh man. Bjorn's character did lay it on a little thick with the hate for synthetics.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for how they explained his hate for synthetics. What was explained wasn't the problem. It was the way they gave that information to the audience. It felt so exposition-y. And I'm like, Bjorn could have just said that himself later on in the movie or at another point in the movie. Like, it didn't need to be like, they were like literally telling the audience why he hated synthetics so much. And I'm like,
right.
They could have, I mean, it's a nitpick, but they could have done better with that.
The one thing I liked about it was, I don't remember that girl's name. The one that actually gets the face hugger on her. Her name is
Navarro.
Navarro, yeah. So Navarro is the one that explains, the synthetic like shut down the mine while his mom was still inside. And Rain is shocked about that. She's like, but synthetics can't harm humans. And it was like, kill 3 to save 12 or something. They can make that decision, do that, basically.
Yeah.
And we see that later with Andy. And I actually really like that scene because Rain like can't comprehend that Andy won't open this door to save Isabella Merced's character, who again can't remember any of these characters' names. Kay was her name. Like, he sees the alien in there and he's like, if I open, the alien is waiting, or the xenomorph is waiting for me to open that door. If I open that door, it's going to kill all of us. And so he makes the decision to, Kay actually isn't killed, but we think she is, makes that decision to let her get killed to save the other two.
Now, I want to say something about this scene. So shortly after that, she smacks him and then she asks him, what is your prime directive? And before in the movie, his prime directive, he only had one prime directive. It was to do what is best for Rain. Her father put that directive inside of Andy, and that's how he operates. When they get on the ship and they need to open certain doors, they need to take Rook's chip and put it inside of Andy so he has access to open all the doors. They put it inside of Andy and he gets an upgrade. He's no longer glitchy and awkward, standing up straight, speaking well. Like he's
different accent even.
Yeah,
he's got different accent now.
Yeah, he's got a different accent. Yeah,
I actually love that change. Like that.
Yeah,
that whole idea, that concept of him getting the upgrade and becoming like basically a different character, I thought was really cool.
Yes,
it was a really good idea.
Yes, and now his new prime directive is to do what's best for the company, Weyland-Yutani. And she asks him, "What is your prime directive?" And he says, to do what's best for the company. I think that whether that was best for the company or not, he would have made that same decision. Because if he had opened that door to save her,
best for Rain.
It would not have been what was best for Rain. I like that from a writing perspective because that propelled the story forward. That had to happen. So so no matter what his prime directive was, he was going to do that because it was best for both Rain and the company.
Right. Yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah.
It was cool. Speaking of the company, I love how in the beginning, when we're on the like actual mining planet, we learn that workers can basically work enough hours to get it's not like a vacation, but it's basically like getting
like leave.
You work so many hours and you can, I don't know if it's leave for good, but you can leave. And she goes to like check in and be like, look, I worked the requisite hours. And the woman is like, the company has changed what the minimum number of hours is, and it's now like twice as many as it used to be.
Yeah.
And she was like, sorry, the company did it. And I was like, man, the company is just ruthless. It shows us in that. I mean, we knew the company was terrible and ruthless.
Yeah.
But just seeing that, I thought was really kind of it really showed how the company really had like their foot on, the neck of these people and how they could not get out from under it. And so I thought they established that well and gave us, it was good, motivation for these characters to try to get to that decommissioned ship and get out of there on their own.
Yeah. I saw that coming, and it's not a criticism of the movie or the scene, but there was a scene in another movie that played out the exact same way. And I knew how that whole scene was going to play out. Have you seen In Time?
I have. Yeah. It's been a long time though.
So there's a scene in Time where Justin Timberlake's character is going to, check in or whatever. And, they raised the quota without him knowing. And whatever he was trying to do, he couldn't do. But the scene played out the exact same. So I was like, yeah, I know where that. I knew where that was going.
Right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like as soon as she said, oh, the quota's changed, you can't leave. I was like, okay, the objective is to get off of this planet.
We also find out that Andy, the planet that they want to get to, synthetics aren't allowed, I think is what they said, right? So Andy wouldn't be able to go. And Andy, before he gets his upgrade, is like such a sweet character.
Yes.
And, he hears it and he's kind of always got like a worried look on his face.
Yeah.
Or like a I don't understand kind of look on his face. And he gets all that information and he's like, well, that's okay. Because his objective at the time is whatever's best for Rain.
Right.
And you're just like, man, he's such, he's such a loyal friend. And
even Tyler, he says, he's like, you're a good guy, Andy. Because he was explaining it. He was explaining to him like that, you can't come with it. They're gonna decommission you as soon as we get on that planet. He was like, all right, that's all right. It's
right.
As long as Rain is safe, it breaks your heart because he's so loyal.
Right, exactly. And so then I love, that's why I think it's so interesting when he gets the upgrade, how different he is. And of course, his prime directive is, to save the or to do whatever's best for the company. And so it is a much different character from that point on.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't like he's different, but I don't think he's so different to where he's like a completely different person.
Right.
Because although he behaves differently and his mannerisms and his characteristics are different, he is still trying to keep them alive.
Right.
And he is not inherently like evil. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, yeah, you're right.
Even Rook, who, is working for the company or whatever, even he is not like Ash. Because Ash was just an a-hole.
Right.
Rook is a little bit less of an a-hole.
So how do you feel about all the kids, like their characters, and do you feel like they're two-dimensional, or do you feel like they were fleshed out enough? Or
most of them were two-dimensional, but I think that's not a fault of the movie, of this particular movie itself. I think that's just something that happens in these kinds of movies when you have so many characters and you know these people are gonna die.
Right.
Like, you don't have time to flesh out 4, 5, 6 characters.
Right.
You just don't. So I think that is just something that just comes with the territory with monster movies.
Right. Or even slasher films, because this
slasher
you could
films.
almost call this a slasher film.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Rain and Andy were good. They felt like real people, real characters.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them, I couldn't even remember their names. So it's just Isabella Merced's character, I would say, is maybe the second most fleshed out character, but she doesn't have much. It's just that I
would even go as far as saying Tyler as well, because like I said, like Tyler, he wants to get off the planet as well, but he also like he has sympathy for Andy.
Right. Yeah.
At least before the upgrade, he has sympathy for Andy.
And Tyler is also Kay's brother.
Yeah.
And she wants to keep it a secret that she's pregnant from him. He finds out after Andy doesn't let her in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Rain lets it out. But we find that Kay's not dead. She was captured, I guess. She was stabbed, but she was captured by the alien and, put on the wall to be face hugged later, like we kind of see in the Aliens movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of where the movie loses me a little bit. So they did I thought a cool job of kind of connecting it to Prometheus. They show these like experiments that had been done with this like black goo liquid stuff that you might remember better than I do, where they said they got it and things like that, but they call it the Prometheus something or other. Mm-hmm. And it shows them giving it to a rat who the rat was like all mangled and his bones like fix themselves and he kind of reanimates.
They actually, it was a perfectly fine rat and they crushed it.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. They crushed it and then gave it the black goo and then it, reanimated itself. Yeah, it revived itself. Yeah.
And then the characters, of course, conveniently leave the room before the video, I guess, is done playing back. And we see that it did revive the rat, but then it also destroys the rat kind of from the inside out. So we know that if they were to give this black goo to anybody, we'd be in trouble.
Now, I do have one question. Did Rook know that black goo was going to do that? Because he doesn't tell Andy. And because he doesn't tell Andy, I don't think that Rook knew that the black goo was going to do that. Was going to
maybe he doesn't. I don't know. You would think he'd have that, the video the footage like in his database and he would know, but maybe he didn't. I don't know.
And I would think that even if he, withheld that information from Rain and Tyler, he would at least tell Andy because he has to do what's best for the company.
Right.
And knowing that information would be best for the company.
Yeah. I don't know. But I remember when they mentioned, when Rook mentions Prometheus, whatever, we both kind of looked at each other. We're like, that's cool. Connected it to the Prometheus. And Kay is wounded. So they're about to give her that black goo stuff. And Rain actually stops. She's like, we don't know for sure that this will work.
Yeah.
Let's just put her in the cryo tube, put her to sleep and we'll get her help when we get back to the planet. So that's their plan. But of course, aliens get in the way.
As they do.
And Kay ends up injecting herself with that stuff. I'm skipping ahead because we haven't really talked about like the xenomorphs and the elevator and all that stuff and the zero gravity acid and all that stuff.
I loved that. I loved the zero gravity scene.
Yeah, that was cool. I like, they did a good job of like establishing that early on and then Chekhov's gun type of thing, bringing it back later. I thought it was a really cool scene too. And I also liked the elevator scene with the zero gravity and how the gravity purge was about to happen. And she's like just about to reach Andy's hand. And then the gravity kicks back on and she starts falling through the elevator shaft.
Mm-hmm.
And she's caught by a xenomorph, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And for half a second, I think there was a reflective flash of light on his like shiny dome,
Uh-huh.
And for half a second, I thought it was a hole in his head and there were sparks. And I was like, did they just introduce robot xenomorphs? And then I realized that it was not the case. It was like, it must have been like a reflection of a spark or something from inside the elevator shaft. I don't know, but it looked like it was like zzz, inside his head. And I was like, what is happening in this movie? But thankfully that was not the case. I loved all the Xenomorph stuff. I liked the elevator shaft scene a lot. I loved the zero gravity stuff. I loved all that. And then when they think they're free, I know, maybe people would have been disappointed. I wish the movie had just ended there, but Kay obviously would have needed to get help and stuff. But Kay said she injected herself with that black stuff. Rain is about to put herself into cryosleep, and she notices that there's something wrong with Kay. She pulls her out. There's this really wonderful scene of her giving birth to a weird egg thing that has like acid amniotic fluid, I guess, in it.
Yeah.
And that baby turns into like a Prometheus god monster thing.
Yeah. What are those things called? I can't remember what
engineers, is that what they were called?
Engineers. Thank you.
Or in Prometheus.
Engineers. So it becomes
engineer human hybrid.
Yeah, engineer human alien giant hybrid baby. And it does not look good.
No, it's not as bad as the alien from Alien Resurrection, but it
is. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't dislike the scene itself. I like that she injected the stuff in her. I like the fact that, the movie's not quite over because somebody did something stupid. Like I like that. That's pure. That is alien stuff. That's what happens in alien movies. People do stupid stuff.
Right. And you think it's over, but it's not over. Yeah. I mean, that happened in the first Alien. Yeah.
Yes. I'm okay with that. I don't like the design of the new alien hybrid. It looks terrible.
I don't like it either. I kind of told when she starts to give birth to it, I was like, oh, they're going to alien resurrection this movie. And that's how it felt. It felt like it was I just don't understand the need to have other monsters in our alien movies. We pay money to see the xenomorphs, and the face huggers.
It's for shock value,
Yeah. I was gonna say it's kind of like our Jurassic Park movies or Jurassic World movies. It's like we want to see the T-Rex and the Velociraptors and the Triceratops. We don't need, the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor or whatever it was called from Fallen Kingdom. But
God, I hate the
scene itself. Like you said, the scene itself is okay. I don't like the monster. And then my biggest issue with the scene is the jump scare at the end where she's used. Actually, I thought it was kind of smart. She used the acid amniotic fluid to burn a hole in the bottom of the cargo bay so that he would fall out into the rings as the station's about to hit the planet's rings and just be destroyed by the asteroids and stuff. So she does that. You think the alien has fallen out, but as she's pulling herself back towards the ship or the station, the thing there's a jump scare and it jumps out at her and it's kind of being torn apart, but still in her face and blah, blah, blah. That looked really bad to me. The CGI didn't look good. In a movie that had such great practical effects and everything, it was a really kind of cheesy, badly CGI'd moment that I just really could have done without.
I think I'm a little bit more lenient on CGI than you are. The thing is, I think it looked bad just because the design of the creature is just so bad.
Well, that could be too, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't bother me. Fede Alvarez, he's a jump scare guy, so I mean, I expected jump scares in this movie, and there actually weren't a whole lot. There were maybe three.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. There were probably about three.
But yeah, I mean, that didn't. The CGI itself didn't bother me. Just the design of the creature was just really not great. So
the music, real quick, before we kind of wrap up, I thought Benjamin Wallfish's score was really good.
It was very good. It felt very first Alien, because they do that in Alien Covenant, and it's more of a again, it's more of, trying to reel you in with that nostalgia, and it doesn't quite fit with that movie.
Right.
The ethereal alien atmospheric music that was in that first movie feels like it fits for this movie. and just going back to what you said about, Fede Alvarez's love for the Alien movies and, specifically Alien, I felt like he knew aesthetically, he knew exactly what he wanted to make. And the look and the soundscape matched, unlike Alien Covenant for me.
Which is funny because Alien Covenant was Ridley Scott. But
I know that I think that's the thing that disappoints me so much about Alien Covenant is that Ridley Scott directed. I'm like, oh, this ain't it, man.
Yeah,
this ain't it. And we briefly talked about it. I think it was. I think a lot of that is to blame on the studio. They had to make that movie,
right? And
it was I don't know. Like it. I don't know. It Alien Covenant annoys me.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go into a rating. I'll start. For me, like I said before, 90% of the film I thought it was loving and just was super on board. It was really just that last engineer human hybrid alien that really just took me out of it and lost me. So it knocks it down like probably about a half a star for me. So for me, I'm going to go 3.5 face huggers out of 5.
Whoo! I was not expecting 3.5. Wow.
Is that lower than you were expecting?
Yeah, I'm gonna go higher than you, and I'm gonna say 4 out of 5 face huggers. I mean, I had a smile on my face pretty much the whole movie, with the exception of the last 4 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Because I know you heard me when that thing popped up. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I did hear you.
Well, yeah. With the exception of like those last 4 minutes of that terrible looking creature. Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I'm very eager to watch it again. So yeah, I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 face huggers.
Nice. Well, we'd love to know what you think of Alien Romulus. You can always let us know at cinemaheroes.com. You can comment on our Instagram at cinemaheroes. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd love to hear from you however you want to reach out. But I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.